Hey, this is Professor Homa, and we're continuing our homepage pick exercise or assignment. And where we left off, we have the picture here on our page. It's underneath the H1 headline here because that's where we inserted it in our page. Now we may move that, and we're going to move it around using CSS. So we're going to go into our CSS first. We're going to go back to brackets, and if you remember, we copied this declaration block for section HP. And remember how this works, that we're talking about the section here, but one thing we forgot is we didn't put in our IMG tag, and that basically identifies the image inside of section HP. Instead of an image anywhere else on the page, it's this specific image. It's the image is the child of section HP. So any images inside of this section will get whatever properties we give them. So we're going to remove this property, and we're going to give a border property. Well, there's three properties. There's border style, there's border width, there's border color. We're going to combine them all in one border property. So we're going to put in border, and we're going to put in border style solid, and then we're going to put a space, and then we're going to put 1 pix. That should be fine for now. That's basically a 1 pixel thick border. And then we're also going to specify a color. We'll put black, and normally we use hex colors like #000. We can also type in black. So for now, we'll just leave it that way. We'll put a semicolon. And if we take a look at our page, I'm not sure if it updated yet, and I think we have a little border on there. It's hard to see with the blue on there, but we put a 1 pixel border on there, and we'll go do some more. And one thing I also want to do, when you're on that, maybe if you click on a different tag, I'll click on a different tag and look at that, then you won't see, then there's that blue border which goes around the section that you're on in CSS. So there's my 1 pixel border. So we did that. Another property we're going to use is called float. And what float does, it actually allows you to align things on the side of elements that follow it. It's going to help us set up, columns and things like that. But for right now, we could use it just to kind of align our image to the right. So we're going to do a float right. The value is going to be right. And I'll put a semicolon. And I'll take a look at it. And there's our picture, our float right. Now, right now, if I go back and look at this, what's happening? I'm going to go on my H1 just to show you. If I go over here, what's happening? There's my H1 tag. What's happening here is this image is floating to the right of all the HTML elements that follow it because it's an inline element. So we put it after the H1, so it's following after here. It's kind of where we want. Now, we could even use like a margin top and a negative number to bump it up. But one thing we can do too is if we go back to our HTML, now that's okay, the way we have that is fine, but I'm going to go back to my HTML page, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut where we have our image. I'm going to do just a Command X, and I'm going to paste it in front of, and I'll hit return here, in front of the H1. So that means it should align itself to the right of whatever HTML is after it. And we'll talk about floats at some point, but right now we just want it in front. So if we go over here, it should put it exactly where we want it. And that's all we want. So we could have done that ahead of time, but I want you to see what happens because you're thinking the image is coming after the headline, but actually we're going to put it in front of the headline and float it to the right. It actually removes it from HTML flow. That's why it kind of overlaps there. Just by moving that image in front of there, and let's take a look at the CSS again. We just had 2 lines of CSS. We gave it a border property and we gave it a float right. And that's all we needed, and we made sure that it's the image inside of section HP. Okay, so that's all we need to do with that. So our page is done, so we're going to make sure we save both of these. And again, we'll talk more about CSS and all that later, but just for now, this is what you want. This is what you want. Obviously, without that blue line, that's our H1. But this is how we want it to show up, and that's all we need right now. That's all I'm looking for right now. So what we can do is we can upload this. So we'll go back to brackets. We'll make sure we save these. You can even close them and save them if you're not sure if they're in. I'll close this and I'll save it. And what we're going to do is we're going to launch Cyberduck. Let me go back to my bookmark so you can see what my bookmark looks like. And again, I have bookmarks for everybody here. And this is my bookmark sample, which I'll double click on. And I have nothing in my directory. I did have something there, but I pulled it out. So my directory is empty right now. Matter of fact, if I go to this page and I click on my directory, there it is. You can see there's page not found. So if you haven't done your home page yet, or if you haven't uploaded anything, that's what you'll see. But I'll go back to here, and I'll basically upload using Cyberduck. Okay, so I'm in my directory, and all I have to do is just go find my folder. Okay, so here's my folder, and remember, it's the upload sample, or mine's called upload sample. Yours would be called upload whatever your last name is. And these are the 3 files. We now have 2 images that are going to be uploaded. So hopefully you got your homepage pick inside there. So our CSS, which we updated and saved, our index, which we updated and saved, and we have an extra image in there. So I'm just going to copy everything back up again. Now if I did have content here, it would just overwrite, but I ended up pulling it out. So, but this will just, it will overwrite if you have, you know, your existing folder in there. You'll get a message here saying overwrite, but right now it's just uploading it. And now my 3 files in there, well, a folder, 2 files, and there's 2 images inside that folder. And now I'm going to go here and I'm just going to click on my, and there it is. If you might need to refresh the page, but that's basically what you want. That's all you need for this assignment. You just need to basically make a couple little changes to your index and a little bit of change to your CSS. Actually putting in, what we did is we put in a new style in our CSS. We put in a new style for section HP IMG, and we just put a border and a float right on it. And that's all we did. And then we moved it in our index page. We originally put it below our H1, and then we just had to move it above our H1 because, again, a float floats to the right or left of whatever's after it in the HTML flow. So our image is basically in front of H1 right now, but it's going to float to the right of our headline that's there right now. So that's all we have to do, and that's the end of EX3. So make sure you upload it, or contact me if you have any problems doing that.